We're going to watch something here called Dracula Blows His Cool. Let's check it out. Our movie starts in a blood bank where this guy named Boris is stealing some vials of blood.
You spelled your name wrong.
This is Nutcracker. The blood banker is back.
Not again.
We take you to an erotic photo session in a castle run by this photographer named Stan, who's a descendant of Count Dracula, who was buried in the basement.
Champagne wino in town, and she cheated on his father with every farmhand she could lay her hands on. I don't know what you two are staring at me for.
A few of the models with their clothes on. Alright, there's this prudish woman in town who wants to close down this castle. Not that anything much happens there, but she finds a giant penis.
If I show the mayor this, he can't ignore us anymore. We mustn't let our teenagers anywhere near this den of iniquity. Come on.
Well, the photographer takes his people downstairs and they discover the tomb where Dracula's buried. They get interrupted by Boris, though. He's the guy who was stealing the blood.
Take it easy, Boris. After all, it's my relatives, not yours.
What do you think you're looking at?
All right, Boris.
Oh, and as for Dracula, guess what? Well, the giant cock got switched with this garden gnome, and the cock ends up going to Grandma's birthday party. Oops.
It feels real nice. Oh, it's such a my late husband.
While all the mayor sees is a garden gnome.
There's anything to laugh at. I'm afraid I shall have to refer this matter to higher authority. If you do not take steps at once to close this Dracotech, I shall have to show this thing to a full meeting of the city council.
So the castle's been turned into a discotheque.
Rock me, Dracula. Rock me, Dracula.
Boris, while the discotheque goes on upstairs, brings some bowls of blood.
You insensitive people! You rape my count and countess! The master wakes up and finds this kitty portion here. I must find fresh blood.
Dracula and the Countess get up to drink.
Good evening, Olivia. You don't mean to tell me this mosquito's hors d'oeuvre is all the blood we're getting tonight?
Boris must be losing his touch.
What are you doing under the table?
Oh, Mario, you said you love me when I go down, so I just took you at your word.
Hijinks at the disco.
She looks like the cat that just ate the canary. And you look like the canary.
Oh, this woman named Linda is taking a shower while someone's stalking outside. But ultimately, he misses her when she steps out of the shower. Apparently, Dracula looks just like Stan.
Stan, since when did you dress formally to get laid? You look just like a vampire.
But he eventually goes down, goes for the bite. Now, they apparently know that Linda's in trouble up there.
Normally, she doesn't wake the whole house with her enthusiasm.
What's this midnight meeting all about? I hope nothing's happened.
Stanley, thank goodness. You must hurry upstairs and rescue poor Linda from a fate worse than death. No time to discuss it, Stanley. Hurry, please. Stanley, I implore you, the ghosts are about.
It only goes.
But when they find him up there, they obviously think it's Stan.
Stan,
Yes.
what was Linda screaming about?
I always lead the screaming. I must admit, the young lady, she was unusually delicious.
Ah!
And now we've got multiple vamps running around.
You've got me under your skin.
From here, the movie kind of turns into a German sex comedy from the 70s.
Hello, Your
What's new in the zoo?
Isn't Boris around?
No, he's running an errand for me. Say, would you mind if I came between Mickey and Minnie, if you know what I mean? It works better in bed.
Keep her busy until I get this picture.
More
taken.
photo shoot hijinks.
Dirty book or something. Okay, Georgie, now. Careful.
What every good boy should know.
I know that one by heart. Don't pay any attention to him. Hey, go easy on him. He's a virgin.
I've got a teaching license.
And some naked hijinks when their clothes get stolen.
I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm not ashamed of my body. If those drip cops take our clothes, why don't we take their car? It's about
So they're going to go driving around in their car and promoting the other business. So Miss Nutcracker, that prude of an old woman, finds a portrait of Dracula, who looks just like Stan, of course.
Creaky Castle's in Transylvania. I'm sure of it now. Creaky Castle.
And a big reveal.
Young man, I have waited 20 long years for this moment. My maiden name is Ellen von Helsing, daughter of the world-famous vampire killer. Turn to shit, Satan!
You blew that incantation. Why didn't you try to get a little rest? You'll feel better.
Turn to
I think you
cuckoo!
still got it a little screwed up. Have a nice day.
Yes, darling.
Thank goodness a nice healthy ray has returned to your cheeks.
Yes, I'm feeling much better.
I don't think I slept a wink all day. You know, I never could sleep on an empty
You
stomach.
have to do something about that. I must say you look like a real
What do
monstrosity.
you expect from these rations?
Darling, you've got to do something about your appearance. I've seen better looking hairdos on most bats. And as for that flea market original you've got on, I wouldn't dry a dish with it.
What's come over you? You were so much nicer to me when we were alive.
There's a few cuties upstairs that would make a corpse blow its cool, which is more than I can say for present company.
More from our disco babes again. So Dracula is tired of the Countess and decides to mingle amongst the disco crowd.
The damn teacher making up so many horror stories about us. Her mother must have been frightened by a garlic clove.
And the violence gets real again when he wants to take a bite.
Just passing through. Don't stop on my account.
You really do it for me.
Countess is about.
This way.
Hey, this is family only.
Oh, yeah, family.
Funny. I never saw you here before.
Countess gets herself a man who's not her husband.
The doctor is in.
But she's not done.
Angry proof.
Even the Countess mistakes Stan for her husband.
Darling, don't go away. Don't blame me for that boy's condition. His blood had enough alcohol in it to make alcohol.
I don't know what you're talking about. And furthermore, I've never seen you before in my life, so why don't you go home and sleep it off?
So he puts her to bed.
Listen, lady, a joke's a joke, but
How come I can't open this?
Then Mrs. Nutcracker, aka Van Helsing,
Give it to him.
hits Stan. She thinks it's Dracula, though.
Nice to know you can do one thing right.
Then as she's about to finish him off,
Set my blood on fire and fill my arteries with sweet desire.
Stan has big ideas.
But don't you see? We could turn blood into gold. We've got the only disco for miles around with a 14-carat vampire.
Two 14-carat vampires. Olivia gives beautiful bags.
So she does. Mario, you're going to get us another couple of million.
So the vamps get on board and they basically bite people all night long who visit Hotel Dracula. They even cater to homosexuals.
worked hours are from midnight until 6 a.m., sir. The Countess gives room service standing
The
in the
Countess
day.
can keep her fangs to herself. I'm interested in that lovely husband of hers. Can't you see I'm
It's getting to be too much for Dracula.
You look like you're setting the world's record for melancholy.
Is it any wonder? This day and night sucking schedule is more than a man can take. It's getting to the point where if I see a bottle of ketchup there, it turns my stomach.
They decide to go back to Transylvania.
Master, order us to return to the computer.
And who the hell's gonna bother my guests from now on?
Those comments stay right where they are. We are leaving.
I can't bring those two back from Pennsylvania. They're causing us to the road Bolsheviks.
But are all the vampires gone? Perhaps the hotel will carry on. Okay, let's talk about Dracula Blows His Cool. What the hell is this movie? Well, this was a movie that I had on a VHS tape. I copied it from a video store and taped it. I think it was probably a place called Video One in Thiensville, Wisconsin. It was put up by Private Screenings. And Private Screenings, I've reviewed a lot of their movies in the past. They did a lot of movies in the mid to late 80s on their label that were a lot of foreign, German, Scandinavian, sex comedies, silly jiggle and giggle movies that were dubbed in English. That's what we got here, except this was a horror movie or horror comedy, kind of in the vein of like Love at First Bite or something like that, which came out in the same year, I think, actually. Didn't know exactly what it wanted to be. There was it almost seemed like sometimes the violence was really real, and then there was a lot of jiggle and giggle. There was a lot of nudity, full frontal nudity, tons of lusty German babes, including Bay Fiedler, who I have a lot of her movies, Betty Vergess, or whatever her name is. She was also in The Joy of Flying, which I've reviewed in the past. So yeah, it was a German titty movie, but with horror elements, I guess you could say. Strange film. We have this guy who's he's a photographer. He takes erotic pictures of women scantily dressed or not dressed at all at his castle. Of course, he has a castle. He has like this dungeon theme. He's got this dungeon disco there as well. Turns out his grandfather or great-grandfather is Dracula. He's buried in the basement in a tomb. And his countess is there too. And there's this guy named Boris who's like a Renfield type character who brings them blood every night. Apparently, the Stan, who owns his castle now, has no idea. He knows that his Dracula's are buried down there, or that his great-grandfather is, but he has no idea that he's a vampire and that he's still alive. Whatever. So anyway, of course, Dracula comes back and he starts biting people. He starts hanging out at the disco because he gets tired of his wife, the Countess. Eventually, it's all out in the open that Dracula's around, and then Stan devises this plan to, well, let's turn this disco into a hotel as well. People can come here and get bit. And that's what they do. Dracula and the Countess then go around at night and they bite the guests in their neck while they're sleeping and stuff. And I guess it's a big selling point. I don't know. But eventually the two of them get tired of it and they decide, you know what, screw this. We got to get back to Transylvania. This is just too much. It's boring. So they head back. And then the last scene in the movie, there's another lady on the grounds who has become a vampire herself. So I guess they're going to continue the vampire hotel Dracula thing. Whatever. So anyway, that's Dracula Blows His Cool. Boy, strange film. This is put on by DVD by Substance, who I've reviewed several of their movies as well. They appear to be more or less just rips from VHS tapes. I don't know how legit they are or not. I don't even know if they're still in business anymore. I don't think they are. But yeah, it does look like it was ripped from a VHS tape. So, but anyway, whatever, right? What are you going to do? It's the best you're going to get for a movie like Dracula Blows His Cool. Has anybody even heard this movie besides me? Second time in my life I've seen this movie. I've seen this movie twice. Tons and tons of nudity in this movie. Full frontal. If you're looking for that, you're going to find it here. Lots of flesh on display, which is great. Most of the comedy falls flat, but whatever. Again, we don't watch this shit for its beauty humor. It's just tits and ass. Let's be honest. Check it out. Dracula Blows His Cool. Let me know what you think about it. Leave some comments down below. Watch it. Bye.